Hey, so let's look at these problems from 114. So with these scientific or graphing calculator problems, what you're going to do is you're just going to use your calculator because we can't do these types of exponents in our head with mental math. So you need your scientific calculator, and you're going to use this key that allows you to type in any number and any exponent. And on mine, it looks like an XY. On yours, it might be something else that looks similar, YX, XY. The X tells you that you're going to type that in first because in alphabetical order, X comes before Y. So on my calculator, I type in the base number first and then the exponent. So this first problem, I'm going to type in 2.5 and I'm going to press the key, and then I'm going to type in the exponent of 3, and I get 15.625. But this tells me that I need to solve it to 4 decimal places. 4 decimal places. This is only 3. So I'm going to type in, let me erase this a little bit right here. I'm going to type in 15.6250. 1, 2, 3, 4 spaces, okay? So make sure you follow your directions whenever you have to round to a certain decimal place. Look for it to tell you. If it doesn't tell you, you go to 2 places. But if it does tell you, you do that, okay? Remember, we've mentioned this before. All right, the second one is 0.5 to the 0.5 power. So I'm going to do the same thing I did before. Type in the number first, press my key, put in my exponent, and I get 0.7071 is the 4th place here. The number to the right cannot round that up because it's a 0, so that is what I'm going to put in, 0.7071, and I think you got that one correct. The last one, we have to manipulate it just a little bit because it's in a fractional exponent. So we have to rewrite it without the fractional exponent. So remember that the number in the numerator of the fractional exponent tells us how many times we're writing this sign, or this, not sign, this base under the radical. So we're writing it with an exponent of 1. So 1 time. Okay. This number is going to be the index that we put right here. So we have an index of 3. So that means I'm going to put 3.14 and find the cubic root, which is going to be this number right here. I have that one already built into my calculator, so I can click that, and it tells me 1.4643, and the next numbers are 4. It's not enough to round this up, so I stop there. So 1.4643 is how I would do this problem. But first you have to put it into the radical so that you know how to solve and what you see what you're doing, right? Okay, so that's that problem. Let's look at the next one. Okay, the next problem is this graphing problem here. It says sketch the graphs of the following function. Use the graphing calculator app Desmos on your phone or device if you do not have a graphing calculator. You may also use the website geogebra.org, and that should say org, not corg. It's a typo. But you can also use Desmos on the internet as well. It has a website. So what you can do is you can actually just take this right here. Let me see if it'll let me copy it. It sometimes will let me copy it. If it doesn't let you copy it, that's okay. You can come over here and you can just type. You can get your keyboard to show up here. And it is y is equal to 3 to the x power. And in order to get power, you want to type in a hood. That is the little sign above the number 6. You press the shift key, and it looks like, let me go over here and show you what it looks like. It looks like you on your keyboard when you're typing, you've got across the top, you've got the number 6, and you've got this little sign above it. This little sign above that, that's your hood. And if you press your shift key, it does this. And this little sign means exponent. So you can do that. Or, let me backspace here. You can press this exponent key here and then just backspace and put an X in instead. And when you do that, notice how this line pops in here. Now you can actually enlarge this a little bit so you can see the individual numbers. That will make it easier to graph. So I'm going to move this, I want to move this down with my mouse. So what you want to do is you want to look for those key indicators. Like this one says it crosses at the 0, 1. That little gray dot right there tells you that. So the 0, 1, you're going to come over here to Jupyter and you're going to put a dot right there at the 0, 1. So we know that that has to hit there. All right, we look at it again. We look for another point that's easy. Here we have 1, 3, where it crosses here. So 1, 3, we want to put a point there at the 1, 3, right? Then we look again and we see down here at the 4, 1, or the -4, 0 looks like it's trying to touch. That's where it comes down completely. So we can put a dot right there as well to let us know where we need to arc our graph our line. And so then what you want to do is just kind of bring your line, and we don't expect it to be perfect, but you want to bring your line through this point and make it go up this point and then just make it touch the other side somewhere. So that's what you're going to do to graph these. This other one is geogebra.org. The C is a typo. It's another website just like Desmos that will tell you how to graph your line. So that's what you're looking to do whenever we have these exponent lines, okay? So that would be how you would graph this one. Let me see what the next problem is. So the next problem is literally the next problem. So we're going to graph this one again. Here it's spelled correctly and you have a link to it. I like Desmos because it's really straightforward and easy to use. So it's not going to let me get it because it's in a math box, that little blue box that happens when you type. That's okay because we can still type this in Desmos. So it's y is equal to the 1/3 to the x power. All right, so I'm going to get rid of this line and I'm going to type a new line. Y is equal to parenthesis 1, and then I'm going to use my /, and then I'm going to type a number 3, and then I'm press the space bar. Well, the space bar didn't work. I'm going to just click out of it and hit my other parenthesis, and then I'm going to use this exponent key and backspace, and put in the X instead. This is the line that I'm looking for. So you can see it crosses again at the 0, 1. So I'm going to go look over here and find the 0, 1. And then I'm going to look and see where it crosses. It crosses at the 3, -1, or the -1, 3, right? -1 on the X, 3 on the Y. So I go over here and I find -1, 3. And I need to find another point of reference. Again, it's almost touching, I'd say right about the 3.5 is where it's starting to get really close. So if I come over here to about the 3.5 and put a dot right there, that's where I want to draw my line. So I'm just going to draw a line, curve it around through those points, and that's going to tell me how I need to graph that line, okay? So you really don't have to do any math to solve these graphing problems. You just need to type them into a graphing calculator and copy it onto Jupyter, okay? Let's look at the next problem you are struggling with. All right, that one is going to be the next graph. You got everything else in between correct. So this one, y is equal to 2 to the x power. So we go back to our graphing calculator, we get rid of this one. We're going to type in y is equal to 2. I'm going to put in an exponent, and then I'm going to back that one out and put the letter x instead. And now my line types up. So again, it crosses through 0, 1. Most of them are going to cross through 0, 1. The main thing we're looking for whenever we grade these is that they're crossing at the 1, that they're open in the right direction, and that they're hitting that other point. Here, that other point that we're looking for where it crosses is at 2, 1. You see that's where it's hitting that mark right there. So 1 and 2. 2 on the y-axis, 1 on the x-axis. So I go find that point, 1, 2, and put that there. And if you want, you can find other points, like the 2 and the 4 is also another point. So the 2 and the 4, that helps you see where the arc is supposed to hit. So the more of those points you put in, the better your graph is going to be. So you're just looking on your graphing calculator to find where those points are. And this time, it doesn't really touch down until the -5 on the x-axis. So we're going to put it just above the 4 here because it's not quite touching. So you want to, let's look and see if there's another point. Let's see where it is on the 2. On the -2, here, on the -1, it's halfway. On the -2, it's about 3/4 of the way. So let's add those points. So about halfway on the -1 and about 3/4 of the way on the -2. So now we have a really good idea of where to draw our line. And like I said, the more points you put in, the more accurate your graph is going to be. So that would be how you would graph something like that. And that's a really good graph right there because we put in several points. All right. So try doing that whenever you want to graph your line. You need to use a graphing calculator, and you can get a free one online. And this company right here also has a free app that you can download to your phone that does exactly the same thing. So you don't have to go back and forth on the computer. You can just do it on your phone, and you can see all of this as well. It's really pretty cool. All right, so let's go back to Jupyter and see which other one you needed help on. Okay, so I took a screenshot of your grading page, the one that I see. Here's the only problem with what you did. You did not reduce this fraction. So -5 over 5 is what? It's a -1, right? So we would have y is equal to -1 x plus 3. Well, we never write the 1. The 1 is invisible. So we take that out because mathematicians are lazy. So we would have a -x plus 3. That would be the answer we're looking for. And you can see I've got it either written with just plain old characters on your keyboard or written with characters from the math box, the special characters box. Either way is accepted, but that's what I'm looking for. Y is equal to -x plus 3 because you have to reduce that fraction. Otherwise, you did the math exactly the right way. You just forgot to reduce your fraction. So not a big deal. Good job, sweetheart. Let's look and see if there's anything else you need help with. All right, so the next one that you were needing help with, we're almost to the end. It was 4x squared plus 4x plus 1. We want to factor that. And we want to factor it by grouping, and we want to factor that by finding the middle two numbers that are going to give us 4x. So let me go to my drawing program so we can look at that better. So we had 4x squared plus 4x plus 1, I do believe. Yes, that's what we had. So what we want to do is we want to look at this first number and this last number and multiply them. 4 times 1, that's 4, and it's a positive 4. And we're going to look at the factors of this that would give us a positive 4 when added together. Well, that's easy. Positive 2 times positive 2, when we add them together, gives us a positive 4, right? So we can easily say 4x squared plus 2x plus 2x plus 1. Right? So what we're going to do now is we're going to group factor. Well, all we did was we split this into the two factors that equaled this, but also would give us the same thing as the first number times the last number when combined. Right? This these two numbers are going to have alternate factors sometimes. That will give us a sum in the middle. We have to break it apart. That's going to allow us to actually factor this out. So now we're going to group factor by looking at the first two and the last two. And sometimes it's okay if you rearrange, but because these two numbers are exactly alike, it wouldn't do any good to rearrange because they would just be the same thing. By rearrange, I mean sometimes when we write it, we write the factor that needs to go here with this one. So because they're the same, we won't have that problem. So what I'm going to do is look at what's the same between these two. I can pull out 2. Both of these numbers are divisible by 2. And both of these have an x. So I can pull out 2x. And then that leaves behind 2x for the first term. 2x times 2x is 4x squared. So that's my first factor. And then 2x divided by 2x is 1, so plus 1. Now in my second one, this is going to need to match my second binomial. And if you notice, it's exactly the same as what we have here, 2x plus 1. So that tells me that I can only multiply it by 1 because I can't change it. It needs to be just times the identity factor. So if you look, I have 2x plus 1 and 2x plus 1. Remember how we do group factoring, where when we have the same one and two different front factors, we can combine that? This 2x plus 1 is going to be times 2x plus 1 because both of these are times 2x plus 1. All right, they're identical. This is going to be your solution. This is how we factor this trinomial. And you can always check it. You can always say 2x times 2x, that's 4x squared. 2x times 1 is 2x. 1 times 2x is 2x. And 1 times 1 is 1. And when we add it together, we get 4x squared plus 4x plus 1. But in order to factor it, we had to break this middle term into two different numbers. Otherwise, we would not have been able to do it because of the fact that this term right here, this x squared that we normally don't have a number in front of, because it has a number in front of it, that's what we have to do in order to break it down. So I think there was another one like that we needed to look at. Nope, we have a different type of number. So we have to simplify this. So I'm going to screenshot it and take it over to the drawing tablet and drop it in. We're going to work on that one. All right, so let's work on this one. First of all, we have to get a common denominator so we can get rid of having more than one term. We want to only have one term, one fraction divided by one fraction. We know how to deal with that. It's called keep it, change it, flip it, right? So we've got to turn this into one fraction here. In order to do that, we're going to have to get a common denominator. So I see that I have x squared here and x here. So the easy thing to do is to just make both of these x squared. So I'm going to multiply this one by x over x, and that makes that mp squared x minus z over x squared, right? And then there's my big line in between. And This square doesn't look very good there because it's better. And so the same thing here. I have x squared and I have x. So it's easy for me to just multiply this one by x over x. So now I have y minus 5ax over x squared. So now I have a fraction divided by a fraction. So now I can just keep it, change it, flip it. So mp squared x minus z over x squared times, and now I'm going to flip the second fraction, x squared goes on the top, and y minus 5ax goes on the bottom. Well, now I can see that I can easily cancel off my x squared, and all I have left is mp squared x minus z over y minus 5ax, and that should be your solution. All right, that's what we're looking for. So now let's move on to the last problem. All right, so here we have 3 questions about this shape. And it tells us we have a base of a right solid, which is in the shape of an octagon, and it's 5 feet high. We've got to find the surface area and the volume, and it says dimensions are in feet. It also asks us for area of the base, and the reason it asks us for area of the base is because we need that for both of these solutions. It tells us that the formula for area of a regular octagon is area is equal to 4.8284 times a squared, where a is the length of one side. So it tells us the length of one side is 5 foot. So we're just going to take this formula right here. This a is equal to 4.8284. Let's write that over here. A is equal to 4.8284a squared. Let me make sure I wrote that right. 8284, 8284. Okay. And A is the length of one side. Well, A is equal to 5 feet. So we're going to substitute that in. 4.8284 times A squared. A is 5 foot, so 5 foot times 5 foot, right? So the area of the base is going to be equal to 4.8284 times 5 foot times 5 foot. And that's going to be 120.71 feet squared. That is the area of the base. So that is what we would type in. 120, oops, 20 point, did I say 71? I did say 71 space FT, and then I need my exponent of 2 because that's the area of the base. So now that I have that in there, oops, now that I have that, now I need to find surface area and volume. Well, volume is easy, right? Volume is just area of the base times the height. It tells us the height is 5 foot. So all I have to do is multiply that by 5 to get the volume. So let's do that. I'm going to take, for volume, that's equal to area of the base times the height. Well, the area of the base is 120.71 feet squared, and the height is 5 feet. So 120.71 times 5. So my volume is equal to 600.5 feet cubed, because feet twice and feet one more time, that's 2 plus 1 is 3. So 3. Volume is cubic. So we always have an exponent of 3 on feet. So 600.5 feet cubed is going to be our volume. So I'm going to type that in. 600.5 feet, and I need my exponent key, and type in my number 3. All right, so now we have to get surface area. So I'm going to copy this over so that I can do this a little bit easier. I just need my illustration here to remind me of what I'm doing. So what I have to remember, I've got a top octagon and a bottom octagon. And the area of the octagon is right here. That's the area of the base. So I have a top plus the bottom. And because it is a regular, it says a regular, right? Yes, a regular octagon. That means that all of the sides of the octagon are going to be identical. They're all going to be the same side. So I have 8 sides. And these sides, if you look at them, they're rectangles. The length of each side is here. That's 5 feet. And then the height is 5 feet as well. I've got 8 sides that are 5 by 5. So 5 feet by 5 feet. Right? That's length times width. And there's 8 of those. So now I just need the top and the bottom. And the top and the bottom are the area of the base. They're the octagon that's given, which is 120.71 feet squared. So there's 2 of these. So times 2. That's my top and my bottom. So 120.71 feet squared plus 120.71 feet squared. That's the top and the bottom. That's the 2 that we were talking about. Now I just have to do this calculation. And this calculation is the sides around. That's going to be your lateral surface area, right? It's the number of sides that are identical and length times width for each one. So all I have to do is get my calculator, and I'm going to say 8 times 5 times 5. 200 feet square. So now I just add all 3 of these together. 200 plus 120.71 plus 120.71, right? 200 plus 120.71 plus 120.71. And that equals 441.42 feet squared, because they're all feet squared and we're just adding them together. We're not multiplying. So that is going to be your surface area. So we'll type that in. 441.42 space FT. We need our exponent of 2 to show that it's area. Every time I touch it, it wants to do that. So now we're just going to check our work. Oh, it's telling me I didn't do this one right. Let me see what I did wrong. Okay. Volume, area of the base, times the height. Let me do that calculation one more time. 120.71 times 5. I must have pressed a key incorrectly. I must have forgotten the 1 when I typed it, because that is not the same number. I'm going to do it one more time just to check my calculation. 120.71 times 5. Yes, I must have miskeyed it. So, see, teachers make mistakes too. It's okay. We all do that. So the volume is going to be 603.55, and you might have already caught that earlier, and that's fine. If you caught it and I didn't, that's actually better, because then you are getting the hang of it. You know what you're doing. So I guess that's what I did. I guess I forgot to put the 1 whenever I keyed it in. So 603.55 feet. Let's change that. 603.55 feet cubed. Let me see if this is right. Yes, okay. So that's all I did. I just miskeyed it when I put it in my calculator. But now you know how to get everything and what you need to do. And I highly recommend, given what I just did, when you type it in the calculator, do it twice. Make sure you get the same number. Write down the first number and then just do it again to make sure you get the same number a second time. It's just a few seconds of double checking your work. And then you won't do what I just did, which is type in the wrong number. That's all I've got for this video. If you have any more questions, please feel free to ask, and I will see you on Thursday.